need a hammer and a nail. Rushmore Construction, they never fail. When you need a wall standing tall, Rushmore Construction, they build it all. When you need a roof up tight, Rushmore Construction, they'll do it right. When you need a floor so strong, Rushmore Construction.
This is David Farka, two-time YMSL champion and two-time Triple Crown winner, speaking on behalf of Rushmore Construction. At Rushmore Construction, they don't just build structures, they create lasting foundations for your future. Whether it's residential, commercial, or custom, Rushmore Construction's team of experts ensures top-notch quality, innovative solutions, and timely delivery every step of the way. With years of experience and commitment to excellence, they take pride in transforming your vision into a reality with precision, reliability, and attention to detail. When I recently needed some major construction done to my home, I called Sam Loudon from Rushmore Construction, and in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, he knocked it out of the park. Not only did he fix my problem, but he did it under budget and ahead of schedule. So for all your construction needs, small or big, make sure to call Sam Loudon from Rushmore Construction. When you need a hammer and nail, Rushmore Construction will never fail.
When you need a hammer and a nail, Rushmore Construction, they never fail. When you need a wall standing tall, Rushmore Construction, they build it all. When you need a roof up tight, Rushmore Construction, they'll do it right. When you need a floor so strong, Rushmore Construction.
Welcome back to the unnamed, untitled YMSL show. We got Norman here. We got Yogi here, our producer. Thanks for coming back, guys. And I know it's been a while and a lot has happened, but we're back. We're back with our show. And, going to discuss everything that has transpired over the past couple of weeks and, have an eye towards the future here. Norman, welcome.
Yeah, Z, thank you so much. And I really want to get right into it because there is so much going on lately. I do feel a little uncomfortable. I'm not at my home studios. I hear ambulances in the background. I don't know what's going on with you over there, Z.
I'm on the road
But
here and, just here to make it work and give the content to the people. So I hope they could be satisfied with that.
okay, let's keep it moving, Z. I want to start. I love the new graphics here. Thank you, Yogi. And I want to start with Placata. Placata. What do you think about someone like Carlos going back to his ancestral roots and embracing it and just going all in, putting a sombrero on his jersey and going Spanish for his team name?
Yeah, absolutely love it. Obviously, Los and Gabe, Mexican heritage, and they're tapping into that right there. Jersey design looks great. I have no idea what placata means, but it sounds Spanish and it sounds great, and I think it's perfect. I think it's
Yes,
almost better that we don't know what it means.
and he keeps, if you ask him, he sends some screenshot of the definition and it still makes no sense. It's like, it's something that a player used to say and it means to, play ball hard the right way. I don't know what he's really talking about, but it's a feeling. Just the sound of the word makes me sort of understand. Like, placata, placata. And the way Los says it just makes me again want to be on that team. I want to be on Placata because of the way he's saying the word.
Yeah, it sounds great. It's just like rolls off the tongue. I could picture Carlos saying it with that Mexican accent. So, yeah, gotta love it.
The only Mexicans that I could think of in the league off the bat are Gabri, obviously. Leo Casson has some Mexican in him. His grandfather comes to the field a
Of
lot.
course. Of
I
course.
don't know who else, but I'm assuming we're just going to go basic assumption that anyone with an accent is going directly to Los's team. He's going to draft all,
Yeah.
like, there's going to be no mystery on who he's going after because he's clearly going for people that embrace Placata.
For sure. I expect Los to build a nice vibe and, nice family oriented situation over there. And I'm happy for Los becoming a captain. Was a teammate of his a couple times. And, yeah, I think he'll be very successful and a great captain.
Interesting one for Los is that he played so well under the TI regime, and TI is all about USA and building the wall and everything like that. Doesn't seem the most pro Mexican player. So I don't know if TI would even. I don't even know if TI would report to camp if Carlos drafted him.
Yeah, it sounds like Los leaped to the other side of the wall, and that's our bell to move to the next topic there, Norman. So,
Next
yeah, wraps it
pick.
up for Placata.
Next topic, USAID. Five letters that I never heard together. USAID. Never heard of this agency in my life before, but I am just amazed at what Trump and Elon Musk are doing. And when they came out with some of the things that our government is spending money on, it just like, have you been keeping up with this story and have you heard some of the ridiculous items that our government is spending our tax dollars on?
Yeah, I've been keeping up. I first saw the headline and I thought, how did TI get his team name into the news cycle? I thought it was a TI team name, USID. Then I, looked a little more into it and saw some ridiculous things going on. I mean, 50 million to put on a play in Ukraine for I don't even know what type of people, all types of ridiculous money spending and payments, and it's about time that you start getting these things taken out and money spent in the right spots. I'm here in New York City. There's people on the streets over here. Meanwhile, we're sending millions and billions of dollars to ridiculous organizations, and it's about time they start cutting that out.
What bothers you more? Because I keep going back and forth. Like, is it that they spent that they agreed to say, okay, $15.2 million for a Sesame Street show in the Congo? Does that bother you more? Or like the ridiculousness of what they're spending it on, or that they could, let's say you agree with that, let's say you agree that there should be a Sesame Street show in the Congo, how in the world could that cost $15 million? Like, what bothers you more, the crazy dollar amounts or just the topic in general on where they're throwing the money away?
Well, I think both of those go hand in hand, and of course, the whole thing just makes me upset. But I think it's more of just corruption and fraud, and they tell you that it's 15.2 million to put on this play. They may actually put it on, and it may actually be for a good cause, but it may cost 10, 15 grand, and someone is pocketing the change of that, and the big change, meaning $15 million, is going into someone's pocket. So that's the part that bothers me because anyone with a brain knows that it doesn't cost that amount of money, and okay, they want to do ridiculous things. That's fine, but at least let it be for the real cost, um, because everyone in the world knows it ain't $15.2 million to put on a play.
Just an amazing concept to me that the richest person in the world has basically moved to Washington, D.C., and is just looking over every check that the government writes. It's just an amazing, like, if you saw that in a movie, you wouldn't even believe it. Moving on, back to YMSL stuff. You heard about the famous frozen envelope when they froze the envelope for Patrick Ewing to get to New York and give the Knicks the first overall pick. I am being compared to, some people, they want to freeze their eggs,
Commissioner
for
David
fertility.
Stern.
Yes, of course. But now we have a scandal of our own involving you, which is called the frozen egg scandal. How in the world, the 1 year you're not captain and Jigga is captain, does he come through with the first overall pick?
It's really tough to give an answer on that. Frozen egg could be a theory. I don't know how true it is. I definitely had nothing to do with it. But I haven't gotten any assurances from Jig. We're now 3 days post draft order, so he hasn't told me anything, hasn't started talking strategy with me. I would think that in years past, it's a no-brainer for Jigga here. But, I'm coming off an injury, and it's definitely a factor. And there's some other really good choices right there. So I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, other than God may be sending Jigga a message to continue the dynasty. So I don't know. It's going to be in his hands, and I trust him. So he'll make the right decision, whether it's with me or without me.
It's an amazing thing because you were captain 4 years out of 6. You always drafted him. The one other year was Bub was captain, and he drafted both of you. So you guys were together in 19 on butter, 20 on swimming. You went all the way. 21 on time. 22 on Hubba
Hubba
Bubba. That
Bubba.
was Bub's. 23 on Shake and Bake, where you went all the way, right?
Yep.
24 on this ridiculous jungle team. I think you're gonna be. I'm not buying the narrative that Jigga has not reached out to you or that he's not going with you, because I do believe he would have been happy with the fourth or fifth pick and parting ways once and for all. But I will not be convinced by him or by you or by anybody that, being that he does have the number one overall, that he could possibly pass over you when you overdrafted him every single year. I don't find it possible.
Yeah, I mean, this would make 7 straight years, so definitely remarkable. Every year it's an open draft. It's one thing, it's Jigga goes in the sixth, seventh, and fifth rounds, throughout the years. So I make it my mission to get him, and Bub as well that one year. But he really could have been drafted by anyone else. So it's to have 6 straight years and possibly a seventh now with Jigga scoring the number one pick. I mean, he could have gotten any other pick. And, I always maintained from the start that Jigga would not go out of his way to get me, but he wouldn't pass over me either. So I know you felt the same way, and, it currently played out that way, and we'll see what happens. I know there's been a lot of trade talks, especially for Jigga's pick itself. So I don't know if those things are going to materialize or what, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see with 6 days remaining.
Brings us to our next topic. Saban Sanity is one of the greatest team names of all time. It just brings the insanity of what Saban is and was, especially in its heyday. And it's just a team name that I always remembered. Some good team names this year, but not thrilled with Saban's team name of the 12 Commandments. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the commandments are really, although this week is the 10 Commandments. It is Parashat Yitro, but what are the 12
It
commandments in
won't be it
terms of
won't be
the
Parashat
soft game?
Yitro. Yeah, it won't be Parashat Yitro in July. So I don't know what he was thinking. It's a terrible team name, honestly. I mean, last year was the Warriors. I know it was after a movie, but Warriors in and of itself is okay. You could be the Warriors. It makes sense. 12 Commandments does not make any sense at all unless he's got some sort of 11th and 12th commandments that we don't know about. Maybe he's planning to unleash those to his team. I don't know what those could be. You never know in the mind of Saban,
We,
but Saban has a plan. That's all I know.
we were saying in the captain's chat, the 11th and 12th commandments are, thou shalt not get thrown out at second with Saban on deck. Thou shalt not leave early. We'll
Yeah, I
figure
mean,
something out with
you never
that.
know.
But
Oh yeah,
remember,
his team
Dano,
chat will have a riot.
for sure. His team chat will. A Saban chat is always a riot. The captain's chat is really, really. We miss you, but we're having a great time in there also. Don't
Oh, for
forget
sure.
Dano. Dano had to change his team name late last year as he was. We were in the depths of DEI last year, and so we forced Dano to change his name as it was triggering for many people. This year, much
Death blow.
looser, but yeah, death blow, terrible. But should Saban honestly consider a team name change this late, right before the draft? Do you think that's something he should be doing?
Yeah, he should certainly consider it. I mean, look at Dano. He had Death Blow last year, which was just utterly ridiculous. And then went with one of the better names you've seen in the last 10 years, Cool Runnings. I mean, it's just so smooth, such a good movie, good, positive, happy vibes. And he rode that all the way to the World Series. I could assure you that Death Blow may not have even been a playoff team. So just by switching the team name, the vibes come, the changes come, and the success as well. So I think Saban should consider it. I mean, I think unanimously across chats, everyone's like, "What the hell is the 12 Commandments?" So it remains to be seen. Well, we'll find out. Saban definitely has a plan. That's what I know. So we'll see how he spins it to his teammates or if he makes a change.
Do you think Saban should have came back as captain last year? Was he the captain? Was Abadi the captain? And had trouble controlling their team? There's the bell, so just hustle up with an answer. Yes or no, should he have come back?
Yeah, I think he should have. I mean, you can't always be responsible for your guys, but, give him another shot and take it from there. Short leash, though.
Yeah, big year for him. Next topic. Al Zolta, MVP of the World Series last year, did not think it was necessary to click the link and register for the YMSL this year. Now, you've won MVP of the World Series. It's a great way to retire, it's a great way to go out. But I would think you'd be the first person to sign up the next year after you played, you got your money's worth, you played almost into, deep into July, and you won MVP of the World Series. How do you not want that feeling right back again? I don't understand how this guy could be sleeping and not register for the league.
Yeah, I don't know, Norman. You can't really ask me because you see the signups. I'm one of the first, probably 5, 10 guys to sign up every year, if not the first. I know it was a little late this year, but I just don't know. I mean, listen, did he have any intentions to play? Did he? I'm sure you spoke to him. Was he planning on playing?
Yeah, after we closed registration, he decided, oh, after Nanu was named as captain, all of a sudden he reached out to me and said,
Oh boy, oh
is it
boy.
too late to register? I go, why didn't you register? And this is after a couple of times of when he said he wasn't going to play. And he goes, why didn't you? I go, why didn't you register? And he said, no, my wife wasn't into it, and blah, blah, blah. The same nonsense that you hear every now and then that you would never
Yeah,
expect to hear from Al Zolta. Very disappointing. And so I said, "All right, you're in the back of the line. What can I tell you?" And it's going to
great.
be he's going to need 15 to 20 people to quit to get in this year. Injury during the year, and he fits for a team somewhere, one or the other.
Crazy, Al Zolt, a guy that's been in the league for many years, has a couple rings, so he fully knows what's going on. It sounds like he probably had some external pressure and wasn't going to play, and then Nanu finally, after checking the box, became the captain, and everyone sort of gets those blues after the content starts pumping and the captains are named, and you get the draft order. I have a half a dozen guys from the jungle last year who I'm very friendly with who haven't returned, and they all sort of have that FOMO now of not signing
Yeah.
up. Did I make the right decision? They're seeing all the momentum, and they sort of regret it. So I feel the same for Al Zolta. I kind of feel bad for him, but he's a veteran. He's not a young guy. I mean, he's young. He's around my age, but he's been in the league for a long time, so he fully knows the deal and knows you got to be on it. So sort of feel bad, but I don't know, sleeping at the wheel.
Sleeping. That's why it's ZZZ for Al Zolta. The Z is, it means you're sleeping. On to Monmouth Cards. Did you know that Nanu had this brand new store in the Home Depot shopping center? I mean, when I went there to do the show, I thought I was going to the regular Route 35 branch. I had no idea Nanu is basically like in 10 different cities now. He's all over New Jersey. But the flagship is now in that Home Depot Center on Route 36. Were you aware?
I was not aware. I was only aware of that Route 35 location. Totally unaware, but wow, what a beautiful store! Really would have had no idea until I did my preseason Dick's Sporting Goods run. And then I would have seen it. Then I would have been like, oh my god. Otherwise, never would have known. Beautiful store. Happy for Nanu. Know him better, and hope he continues success and has success in that store.
Well, listen, that's why you sponsor the YMSL. Maybe the first year he didn't need to, and he just gave us the donation, but now he's getting his money's worth because we are letting people know that he's everywhere. I was in Berlin, New Jersey earlier this month, and I drove like an hour and 20 minutes away, and I drove past the Monmouth Cards down there. I go, what is going on? Mananu is
Wow,
going
wow.
statewide, going global. So good to see the Al Z sleeping at the wheel, not rubbing off on brother Nanu. Nanu Nation. What do you think of that name?
It's all right. It's fine. It's I guess it gives a little picture of Nanu, and it's his team, his vision, his mantra over there. So he's going to have the Nanu Nation going, and happy for him that he finally got the captain role. I honestly didn't know he even wanted it, but, found out afterwards, and very happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him because I saw more how much he wanted it after he got it. I loved his
Yep.
reaction in the Monmouth Cards. He immediately, switched his tone and said the work starts now. And from what I'm hearing, my sources, this guy's working. He's keeping it close to the vest, but I know he's doing some deep analytics and trying to figure out a plan. He has the fourth overall pick. I think he's going to be good. Moving on to the next topic, which is Burt Willis, and this is important. I don't know who
Yeah.
Burt Willis was. We need to do our research, but there's two fields named after him in Neptune. I would say there's a small chance we play a couple of games there, maybe a 30% chance, which is not tiny, but there's a chance we play a couple of weeks at Burt Willis. And these fields are beautiful, but they have fences, which is something that we're not used to playing in. And the fences are around 10 to 15 feet shorter than the night field fence. So there's two fields
Wow.
next to each other, so that's good. And the fields are in great condition, that's good. But this adds a totally different element. So, first of all, what do you think of that? And then I have another follow up question for you.
Sure. Well, Burt Willis must have been a great man to have two fields named after him. I mean, I would like that someday for sure. But I think it's a curveball, but it's not a 12-6 curveball. It's like a 12-10. Has a little bit of break, but not so much. It's 30% chance that we play a couple of games there is not the end of the world. Okay, what are the chances? We may see 2-3 home runs total over the fence. It's not a big deal. If you're telling me that it's a real 30% chance that there's only two games there. Now, if you were to tell me there's a 50% chance that we play half the season there, then I would say it's a little bit more of a factor. But if we have to play a couple of pre-Passover weeks there, I don't see it as a big deal. And there's a 70% chance we don't need to use the fields at all. I think it's a
Yeah.
minor factor. I don't think it alters any draft strategies or anything like that. And it shouldn't. It's just a ridiculous
So,
thing. Like you're picking a Hank DeWeck. I mean, he's an awesome player and he'll go early anyways. But you're not going to pick him because he may put a couple over the fence if your team happens to play there. If we happen to need the fields, so that's my thoughts.
but it's not only pre-Passover. We may be scattered there because even once we get firemen's, there's certain weeks we can't get racetrack, and Memorial doesn't exist anymore. It exists, but she won't rent it out this year. So we can either go one game deal school, one game racetrack, which is not great, or both games Burt Willis on a week 4 or 5, let's say. So it's not only pre-Passover; it's also middle of the season if we want to keep two fields together, which I think is better, but not fully necessary. I
Right.
just feel like someone like Sal Fallis, Uri Adler, Hank DeWeck, guys that could
Yeah.
launch the ball. You were saying if you're drafting, you're not even factoring this in, that there could be, like Sal Fallis, those are flyouts on Fireman's West, and they're going to be home runs easily. I mean, it's not like Coors Field, but they're going to be home runs on this field.
Yeah, I think it's more of a distraction than it is like, oh, I could have this guy that could put it over the fence. Because now you're going to have Sal Fallis, who I love and I think he's a great player, but he's going to see that fence and he's going to try to put one over every single time. And that may not be the recipe for success. It may be that, he's getting under it and flying out. And you don't want it to entice guys. You're almost better off like just seeing it and going for a single instead of potentially being able to hit one over.
Yeshiva League basketball is, this is the season for that. This is what gets us to YMSL draft day, is a couple of postseason playoff games. Last night alone, Flatbush, Magen David, Hillel Yeshiva, all victorious in varsity, all getting themselves to the quarterfinals. So those are three of the final eight
Right.
teams to go after the most coveted title. That high school league, there's something special about it. Have you been locked in, or are you sitting this year out?
So it's certainly a coveted title. It's really one of the best. I never, came close to winning one, but definitely see the value in it. And yeah, I caught a little bit of the game last night. You were amazing on the broadcast, Sandy as well. And yeah, Hillel looked like they took care of business. Obviously, that's where my heart lies. So I'm rooting for them. Eli Braha and Co. looked really great. And you have the Flatbush Magan aspect. Those guys are always good. So it's nice to see Hillel in the mix and, rooting for them to make a deep run. It's definitely the time to tune in. Between the Super Bowl and YMSL, there's a little dead period, perfect for Yeshiva League hoops, and it's great to have, all three schools represented.
Exactly. Super Bowl was a complete dud. Halftime show was even worse than the
Dud.
game. Yes, we do need something to bridge the gap over here. And not only me and Sandy, but Roland Towell was also on that call. And the star for Hillel after Eli Braha is former YMSL scorekeeper Bruce Epstein, 2-year scorekeeper. So good to see him be victorious last night. I think Hillel has a chance. I think they have a chance to make a deep run. And if they get to the finals, no matter who gets to the finals, I have been nominated as the voice of the Yeshiva League this year, Z. I will be calling the finals
Wow.
games. So I'm really hoping I get where Flappers and Mag and David last year went into overtime in the finals. It was like the greatest game ever. So okay, something to keep us
It was,
distracted until we get
yeah,
to
it
the
was
big day.
actually, you were great last year, and I believe it was the most viewed game in history. Am I right, Norman? That's why
Yeah.
they wanted to bring you back, I'm sure. And yeah, that was the worst best game in history. That
Yeah.
Mag and Flatbush game. I watched it. It was a great game because it was two rival schools going into overtime, but it wasn't much shot making. It was a lot of turnovers, a lot of
Z,
Slater
you don't know
ball
the
for sure.
tension. You don't know the tension that was in the gym that day. Like I walked in and the music and the whole Yeshiva University, it was just and like the Flappers versus Mag and David, it was so tense in there. Like even like Spike Dweck, like he's been in this position a lot of times in his life. You could see him like everyone was nervous. I don't know what it was, and you're right. It was very low scoring and very tense. I think the leading scorer was like 10 points or something like that. Okay, moving on. Z, congestion tax. Are you pro or against the congestion tax? Because I'll tell you this. I don't agree with ripping up $9, but I was able to cross town the other day and I flew across town. What's your view?
Yeah, I'm not of the opinion of ripping up $9, but Norman, I hope that they double this thing to $18 ASAP. The no cars on the road have been such a treat. Driving from New York City, Manhattan to Deal, and Manhattan to Brooklyn, where I spend my weekends in both spots. It has been a pleasure. I'm hitting record timing. I can't wait for YMSL season for my commute. I really, really, truly feel bad for all those guys that say, "Oh, the commute, I don't want to join the traffic, the this, to that." They didn't check up on the news because the congestion pricing has minimized that commute. It's such a treat, such a pleasure. Although I'm seeing a little bit more traffic lately, but I'm sure it'll even out.
I'm worried about what it's going to do to the businesses in the city. Is it going to drive? Are people really taking the train in or parking in Secaucus, or are they just not coming to the city? Or they say, or are they just saying, "I'll pay the $9 when I need to go in"? I'm not sure, but I am worried about the whole model of the situation where we're gonna like
Yeah.
every city wants tourism. New York is about having 1 trillion people here, and all of a sudden they're doing something to keep people away. So I'm a little afraid of that aspect.
I just think they know what they have here. They know that they have New York City. People are coming regardless. Okay, maybe there's a small percentage of people that say, "I'm not paying the $9 and I'm not taking the train, I'm not coming." But I think most people will A, pony up the money or take the train. They'll find their way here because, it's a hub, it's the center. So people are going to find their way. I don't think businesses are going to struggle.
Yeah,
It's
and when you need
Norman.
to
It's
come into the city,
similar to YMSL. Similar to YMSL, you know what you have in the league. You don't need to go out there and recruit stars and beg this guy to play and beg that guy to play. You know the people are coming, and you'll have your list of 96, whether anyone likes it or not. So it's similar to that.
I still always get nervous though. When I send out the link, I'm like, is everyone going to sign up this year? I do get nervous, but I'll tell you what, this year, with I think 2/3 of the league signed up on day one, it like just calmed everything down. And that's why the YMSL store offered a free foam roller to anyone that signed up on day one because we appreciate it. It takes the stress level down. It lets you know, okay, I have my pitchers, I have my big shortstops, I have my center fielders, I have my catchers. You need everything. You can't have a league with no catchers either. Don't forget. Moving on, AWOL. Some people, just directly from this theme, some people went missing. I think DK got a lot of limelight that he didn't sign up, but there's like people that you're going to show up opening day, and that's when you're going to say, where the hell is Al Sid? Where is Saul Towell? Where is Leon Harari? Where are these people? It's just odd that we had more people not come back this year than any other year that I remember. I think it's the most in the last 7 years of people that didn't come back this year for no reason.
So I don't want to say that there's no reason. My understanding of it, being on the ground talking to the people, is they're at a crossroads here. I have some guys who will not be named that say, I'm a late round pick where I used to be an eighth, ninth rounder, and I used to get playing time maybe 3 out of 4, two hitting, one fielding, or vice versa. Now these guys are seeing only 2 of the 4, and they don't want to commute. They don't want to sit on the bench. They're sort of, the league has gotten much better, and there's really less of a need for those late round guys. And that's where I can see them saying, okay, it's a big commitment, and it's not for me anymore. I don't want to use the terms pushed out of the league because it's absolutely not what's happening. But, guys are getting better, and maybe they're not. And, that could be a reason why they don't return.
I like a guy like Eddie Michon that basically was the first overall pick and has slowly, beautifully aged. Look at that head of hair he has. Has slowly just gone from the first round pick to the third round to the sixth round to the eighth round and has never missed a single year. Has just played year after year, watched his role get reduced from starting shortstop and leadoff guy or batting 2 or 3 to basically being a part-time catcher, manager, player, sponsor. I like that better than what that some of these guys are doing, but everyone's different. Everyone's got their own life. I just wonder if some of these guys want to come back in the league next year. It's not going to be so easy because we replaced all of them, and now half of them want to come back next year. We're over capacity already. I don't know what we're going to do,
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge
could
when we get
could
there.
be an issue, but I'll tell you what works in favor of a guy like Eddie Michon and Mo Haber and Henry Shalom and a couple Jeff Saka. All these guys, they were once first round picks. That okay, they're able to age. They're committed to the league, and they're just in it. They're in the thick of it. Other guys that were never there, they were at most an eighth, ninth round pick. Now that they're 11th, 12th round picks, it changes their minds. So I
I
see
hear
both
you.
sides of it.
I see. That's a great point. I never thought of it like that. The only guy I could think of is a Jody LeBose, who was probably a sixth, seventh round pick at his height. Probably. Who knows? And
Yeah,
he
and
quit it year in,
quickly,
year out.
I saw Jody a couple months ago. I said, "You coming back this year?" He looked at me and got so insulted and said, "How pretty much how could you even ask if I'm? Of course I'm coming back." So
Right. He's
you have the
probably wondering if
diehard
you're.
yards. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
exactly.
probably wondering if you're coming back. He's like, I've seen kids half my age come into the league and leave the league while
For
I've been
sure.
playing in the league. Yesterday, for the second time in 5, 6 days, my kids had a 2 hour delay, even though there was really no snow. So, what do you think of this new thing of calling school or delaying school from the night before? And is this something that we should be bringing to the league because it has not been working out?
Wow. So I think the first part of that is absolutely absurd. Wait till the morning of, see what's on the ground, and make your decision from there. I don't understand the night before thing. However, that second part of your question from the night before YMSL, that could be something, Norman, because, I know no one likes to wake up at 5, 6 in the morning, roll over, you see your phone, and it says games are called off or we're making a decision in an hour. It's a tough spot. I know it's not ideal for you. You would love to have it all mapped out, but sometimes you can't. Maybe that's something that you could incorporate. I know, pre-Passover, you have a little quicker trigger to cancel. A little bit later in the season, maybe it's worth it to wait and see in the morning, but could be something to implement for the YMSL. I know, like, if I knew the night before, I would just sleep like a baby. I don't know.
Yeah, once in a while, very rarely do we know from the night before. It's just a mess out there, and you know it's going
Yeah.
to be like basically if it pours all day Saturday, you know you're not going to get the fields ready. That's when we call it. Otherwise, I usually like to wait till the morning, but it is amazing. No matter what the forecast is and what the decision is, there's people that are going to agree and disagree and voice their opinion every time. You know, if we cancel, they tell you it's going to be sunny later. If you don't cancel, they say you're going to get me sick right before my Florida vacation or whatever. There's always something, but it is the worst part of the job, hands down, because one guy has to make the decision, and I know nothing more than everybody else. I'm looking at the same thing as everyone else. I don't know if it's
Yep.
going to rain later or not. It's such a hard thing to do, but hopefully we get him right this year. I don't know. Finally, Ronald Roland Towell, we mentioned, turned the tables on me, Z. And basically, 3 quarters into the interview, he became the interviewee and I became the guest. How'd that happen? And was that pre planned? What do you think?
I don't think it was pre-planned at all. Maybe in Roland's head, truthfully, but I don't think it was discussed between the two of you. And it looked in the beginning, Roland was a little nervous, first real on-camera sit-down interview. And then once he started to get comfortable, Norman, you saw him perk out of his seat a little bit and start to ask you some real nice questions. I love that interview. He really, obviously is your nephew, so he knows you, and he was able to tap into some questions that I was very happy to hear the answers about, such as how the league came into place and, a couple other things as well. What a great interview. Really refreshing. Different from, where you're just
Uh,
grilling the guy over his questions and asking what happened on this team, that team. So it was cool.
yeah. So I do have to clarify something because it was not pre-planned by me. I was wondering if it was pre-planned in his mind. But when he started asking me about the league, and I remembered that Mo Haber called me and all that, so I spoke to Mo since then. Mo Haber was actually going to buy the league himself. He was going to buy the
Wow.
league and called me to run it. So can you imagine that? And then a week or two later, DSN called him and they said, Bobby told us you're talking to him about buying the league. What if we want to buy it? Now, how
Wow.
much better, how much better that this league is owned by an organization and no single person? Because first of all, Mo Haber doesn't have to hear that he cheated and Abe Haber got the first pick because he owns it and all that stupidity. And second of all, if I'm not doing my job, they could replace me. Or when we move on, it's in a community organization. How much, like, this could have gone any which way. And I really think we got very lucky.
Yeah, I think it's honestly one of the best things to happen to the league. Obviously, it was very successful under Bobby for many years, until it wasn't towards the end. And it's perfect that a not for profit organization and, an organization that's not looking to put money in their pocket, they're just looking to put the best product out there, run the best league. Of course, there were some certain things that you had to adhere to now, like, the code of conduct and everyone's expected to act a certain way and all that. I think it's all for the better, but it was definitely a blessing and something that will lead to the longevity of the league and the success of the league.
Finally, last thing. I don't even know if it's on the board, but Jigga taking a public approach, tweeting stats, tweeting different messages to the league about what he's going to be doing. Very interesting. It's just so different than how I thought Jigga would handle this. Instead of keeping everything close to the vest, he's going more transparency method and just sharing everything with the Twitter sphere or whatever you call it, the world out there.
Yeah, it's honestly, Jig is a wild card, so you never know what you were going to get. But I didn't think he'd be publicly posting his strategy. I don't even know if the other captains know about it, but Yeah, he's putting it all out there. His decision making. He's asking the public. He's sharing some stats with everyone. I think it's a cool, interesting strategy. We'll see how it works out for him, but maybe he's leaning on some opinions out there to sort of guide him. I don't know. That may be a little troubling, if he's not so sure what he wants to do personally. But we'll see
You
how
know
it all
what's
plays
funny?
out.
You know what's funny? Max Sutton said it right away, and a few people said it after that. When he got the first pick, and everyone assumes he's taking you, although it might not be the right move, but everyone assumes that's for sure what he's doing, including me. I think that's what he's doing. People are like, okay, so Zach's the captain. You don't know Jigga if you think that's the case. Like, Jigga
That's
is
correct.
not, you guys work so well together, but I've heard some of the arguments that you guys have had, and I've heard some of the disagreements that you've had strategy wise, even on the field. This is, in my honest opinion, even if you're together, when Jigga is captain, it's a totally different thing than when you're captain. So I'm very surprised at the amateur take by so many people that, oh, so Z is the captain and it's going to be the same thing. I think it's going to be very different, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with you, Norman. They don't know Jigga and they don't know me if they think that that's going to be the case if Jigga were to pick me, because people don't know that for the last 6 years behind the scenes, Jigga had just as much influence on decisions as I did. Of course, I had the ultimate say when I was a captain, but he was in my ear and he was not shy. Obviously, we have a great relationship, so he would say certain things and give certain thoughts, and I would go to him with questions and look for his response. So I'm not the captain, and I won't be, and it'll be Jigga's decision making. Of course, with my experience, I'm here to, obviously, if we're on the same team, I'm going to assist and say what I need to say, and I'm sure he'll ask
Obviously.
me of my opinion also. But Jigga is running the show. I got nothing to do with it, and if I'm on that team, I'll lend my knowledge. But that's really about it.
It's like what we said with Saban. Of course, when you draft a baddie last year, you're going to use a baddie. Why wouldn't you? Of course,
Right.
whoever he takes, whether it's you or Joe G or Nate B, or let's say it's just you and whoever, of course he's going to use you. But Jigga is much more quick trigger impulse type of guy, and you are much more organized and like think about every possible scenario that could ever come up. And Jigga's
Yeah.
really not like that. He's not like that. I
No.
think we're gonna notice because
He's sort of the
yeah,
opposite, and that's why we've honestly had success and complemented each other very well. But like, if Jigga had the fifth or sixth or seventh overall pick, and he drafted a Farka or an MC or someone like that, you think Jigga's not the captain of that team? Of course he is. Yes, he has
right.
another opinion, but he's still the captain. So it's no different for me just because I would be the pick, or Nate B would be the pick, or Joe G. So it's an amateur take by all.
What do you think as the fire engine continues to just this is
Yeah,
the
it's
guy
going
stuck
on
in
here.
traffic or something that he can't? It's by now
Oh,
should
here
have
we go.
moved on by you. What do you think of the Roland argument that I not argument, but the conversation we had about Dano? He felt Dano's doing something wrong, and I felt Dano should just stick to the same. And one of these years, it's going to work out. Did you agree with either of us, or do you go somewhere in between?
Yeah, I'm sort of down the middle there. I don't think it could be one of these years that he just finds his mojo and wins it all. He's obviously been really close and had some great teams, so it's not like he's doing something terribly wrong. But I think that Dano brings it on himself a little bit. He treats himself like he's this unlucky guy, and I think that ultimately may not get him over the hump. He needs to eliminate that. He needs to be a little more positive and believe he could do it and think he could do it. I know he wants to do it, so he just needs to believe it and think it and forget that whole unlucky bit that he's cursed. That, like, he thinks that about himself. No one thinks that about him. So if he could just
That's
shake that,
called
maybe that'll be the year he gets over the hump.
That's what Dano calls CMD, classic misdirection. That's classic Dano 101. Last thing, Abe Haber, most under the radar guy last year, only won captain of the year, comes back again this year, remains under the radar. No one ever talks about him. Is this what he likes, or
Crazy.
is he like? What do you think of him going
Yeah,
into this year?
I think people are now starting to understand, like, this is his. He just, like, rolls with the flow under the radar, but he definitely has a plan. He definitely knows everything that's going on, and he definitely is confident in his ability. It's not like he's quiet because he's like scared or unsure. I think it's the total opposite. He's just not one of those out there boisterous guys when it comes to planning or. I mean, he obviously had a great team and captain of the year, so I expect that to continue.
Okay, Z, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for this wonderful new podcast. Keeps changing. We keep mixing it up. This iteration of the podcast, but I wish you a very healthy recovery. I heard you got a good report from your doctor. I guess once Jiga got the
Yep.
first pick, all of a sudden you are fully
I,
healed. Amazing how that
yeah, I
happened.
woke up healthy
And
that morning.
you woke up healthy. And that's it. Plakata to you and to all our listeners. Remember, plakata, 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 plakata.
See you guys. Thank you.